Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elizabeth. I am a writer, singer, lover of books, and here is my list of books to read in public to make you look cool and mysterious. The first book on my list is A Spy in the House of Love by Anais Nin. If I read the back, it says, Sabina is a firebird blazing through the 1950s in New York. She is a woman daring to enjoy the sexual license that men have always known. Weaving a sensual web of deceit as she plays a dangerous game of desire, she deliberately avoids commitment, gripped by the pursuit of pleasure for its own sake. It is a great book. It's pretty thin. So as I just mentioned, it is her giving into her sensual pursuits the way a man would, but she is still a woman, so she has all of the emotional attachments that a woman would. And it also is just beautifully written. Anais Nin is a great writer. Next on my list is kind of an either or, and that is either This Side of Paradise or Tender as the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald, or both. I liked both of them. I believe I liked This Side of Paradise just a little bit more, but they're both beautifully written, so you can't go wrong with either. It's just whichever plot sounds more interesting to you. I always think it's super cool when I see somebody who's reading a lesser known work by a famous classic author. So obviously F. Scott Fitzgerald's masterpiece is The Great Gatsby, but he has a lot of other works too. So it kind of shows that somebody's well read if they're diving into something that isn't known by everybody, even though that author is known by everybody. This Side of Paradise is slightly autobiographical. You can definitely see, if you know anything about Scott Fitzgerald, him and Zelda through the characters in this book. I believe Zelda's character is named Rosalind, and it's just him being a struggling writer trying to win over the love of his life, and it's a great book. Tender as the Night is a little darker, kind of a tragic love affair. There's mental illness, affairs, but it's a great book. Next we have Never Let Me Go. I'm not going to try to pronounce that because I know I will butcher it, the author's name. This had me confused the whole way through, but in a great way. It is these kids in a boarding school, and we don't really know why they're there, but we know that there's something sinister going on, and I don't think they reveal what their purpose is until like very much towards the end. I don't want to spoil it. As children, Kathy, Ruth, and Tommy were students in Halsham, exclusive boarding school secluded in the English countryside. It was a place of mercurial cliques and mysterious rules, and teachers were constantly reminding them how special they were. Years later, Kathy is a young woman, Ruth and Tommy have re-entered life, and for the first time, she's beginning to look back at their shared past and understands just what it is that makes them so special, and how that gift will shape them for the rest of their lives. This also won the Nobel Prize for Literature. Next, we have Sex and Rage by Eve Babbitt. This is another collection of short stories. I've talked on my channel about Black Swan stories, and I believe I like Black Swans a little bit better, but I am an Eve Babbitt fan through and through. And if you saw somebody reading this on a park bench, wouldn't you think that's cool girl energy? Because I would. Next we have Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. Bret Easton Ellis is the author of American Psycho, which I have never read, but this one I have read and it's very good. The synopsis says, the rich and spoiled children of Los Angeles have it all. Sex, drugs, fast cars, air-conditioned mansions. Theirs is a world shaped by television, rock music, and too much money. It is a world devoid of feeling and hope. In a startling staccato style reminiscent of music videos, Bret Easton Ellis recreates this world in a dizzying journey through endless parties, seedy rock clubs, and the seamy underworld of drug dealing and prostitution. Haunting, unnerving, Less Than Zero is the inside story of a generation on a desperate search for the ultimate sensation. And that is Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. Next, we have Perfume, The Story of a Murderer by Patrick Suskind. I've mentioned this in my classics video. This is a great, albeit strange, story about a man who has an incredibly strong sense of smell, and he becomes obsessed with the scent of virgins and how he can capture that scent and bottle it up forever. It's weird, it's troubling, and it's the kind of book that if you saw somebody reading it, you'd want to be their friend. I would, at least. Next, I have Franny Zooey by J.D. Salinger. I liked Catcher in the Rye. A lot of people think that that's problematic for, I don't know, frat boys, but I thought it was a well-written book, and I liked Franny and Zooey even more. I think this is better than Catcher in the Rye, and I do like Catcher in the Rye. This is a collection of two stories, one from Franny and one from Zooey, who are brother and sister. I found there to be things that I interpreted to be good morals in this story, and there's one line that I wanted to read to you because it felt like J.D. Salinger was calling me out from beyond the grave. I like applause and people to rave about me. Doesn't make it right. I'm ashamed of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of not having the courage to be an absolute nobody. I'm sick of myself and everybody else that wants to make some kind of splash. That is Franny and Zooey. Next, we have one of the most beautiful book copies I own and this is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. Northanger Abbey is by Jane Austen. It was, I believe, published after her death, and the main character is a girl in the English countryside. She goes to stay at this beautiful manor estate, and she's obsessed with Gothic novels. You can see that weaved in through the story, and it's about the relationship she builds there and her obsession with these stories, the importance of reality versus fantasy. So far, it is my favorite Jane Austen novel that I've read, but I haven't read many. Finally, we have a nice thick one, and that is Unabridged Journals of Sylvia Plath. I love Sylvia Plath. I love her poetry. I love her novels. I've definitely talked about her on my channel before, and this is all of her journal entries. A little sad to me to think that these were published. Most likely, she did not want them published, but they're so brilliant, so fun to get inside her mind as a writer, as a woman, as a girl who was just searching for meaning in life. I think especially girls and women of all ages should read this. And that is my list. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have my links to my Instagram and TikTok down below. And don't forget to subscribe so you can see more of my content. Thank you.